So let me tell you a short story of a woman named Ellen. Ellen was a vibrant 74-year-old woman from the United States who found herself widowed after a long and happy marriage. But with her children grown and leading busy lives, Ellen started to crave companionship. And one day her granddaughter Sarah convinced her to try a new online dating app. She was skeptical at first, but Ellen hesitantly created a profile. And within a week, Ellen received a message from a young charming man named Dr. David Olabi. His profile picture showcased the handsome young man in scrubs, radiating a contagious kindness and care. And David claimed to be a Nigerian surgeon working with Doctors Without Borders, a non-profit organization. He messaged Ellen daily, complimenting her of her beauty, intelligence, and humor. So in a short time, they began to bond really well. And it didn't take long before David started sharing stories about his difficult childhood and his dedication to serving the underprivileged communities. Ellen, who was rather a natural helper, found herself cowed by his story. The online conversation started turning into late-night video calls, where David is always conveniently having internet problems at his supposed hospital, with his videos appearing rather grainy, and dark. One day, David messaged Ellen, sounding downcast. He claimed his bank accounts in Nigeria had been frozen due to a government red tape, whatever that meant, and all he needed was a small loan to pay for a lawyer and access his money. Ellen, who has grown enough emotional attachment and trust for David, wired him the money without thinking twice. But little did she know, she was feeding an Oliver Twist. The demands became a pattern, with David concocting new and elaborate stories for each time. Stolen medical supplies at the hospital, his sick knees, and each requiring a temporary loan from Ellen. However, things soon reached the breaking point. Sarah, Ellen's granddaughter, started noticing a change in her grandmother's financial habits and decided to investigate. She soon discovered Dr. David. And in no time, she found out that David's profile picture was stolen from a stock photo website online. And horrified and angry, Sarah confronted Ellen, who was totally heartbroken, embarrassed, having discovered something was quite off. But at this point, Ellen had maxed out her credit cards and even dipped into her retirement savings to cater for her scammer's unending demand. Not long after, David's messages started becoming increasingly sparse, and one day his profile totally vanished from that platform. And this was when the full reality dawned on Ellen. Panic surged through her, and Sarah, her daughter, noticing the emotional and financial toll, finally confronted her grandmother. Devastated and heartbroken, Ellen confessed everything. The emotional investment, vulnerability, hope, and a lifetime of savings gone in an instant. Stories like this flood the internet every day. The thought process and the method of execution is often the same, yet the victims are mostly caught off guard. In Nigeria, these scams are popularly known as Yahoo Yahoo. If you're here a few years ago, the name 419 may be more familiar to your ears. But where did it all originate from? You see, in the 1980s, Nigeria was in a bad economic state. Many people were unemployed and the government's policies made things worse. You can check out my story on the Ghana Must Gold mantra, which occurred just about that same time. This was also just about the same time General Muhammadu Buhari took over from the Shehu Shagari-led government. Now in this time, a new kind of fraud started. It was called the 419 scam. A number of millennials and baby boomers should be familiar with this name. I mean, we all saw it on walls and properties and lands where it was boldly written, "This property is not for sale. Beware of 419. What about this name 419? Well, it was coined from the section 419 of the Nigerian Criminal Code. And this law prohibits obtaining valuable possessions through false pretenses with the intention of deceiving others. You see, as at then, what scammers did was to send letters or emails promising huge wealth, often in the form of abandoned contracts, inheritances, or hidden funds. However, their victims had to just pay a fee or share sensitive financial information to facilitate the transfer. So, riding and exploiting people's greed, innocence, and naivety, 419 soon became a big deal. The scam spread quickly, and scammers adapted at the same speed. Their victims were often both locals and foreigners, but things started to take a new turn. You see, the advent of cyber cafes changed a whole lot of things. In the 1990s, cyber cafes became popular, and scammers started to use a mailing app known as Yahoo Mail to trick people. They created fake accounts and sent emails pretending to be rich people or someone else who needed help transferring money. So let's get this straight. With the presence of cyber cafes, a new playground was created for these youths. Formerly jobless youths and individuals could now easily work day and night with the cafes as a hideout while hiding their identities and making money. As they got richer, they showed off their wealth and other young Nigerians wanted to join in. Lagos, and particularly Festac Town, was the hub of these activities as at then. And this led to the rise of a new generation of individuals called Yahoo Boys. A group of people who made a living by scamming others. You see, the name Yahoo Boys became popularized because they ran their operations via chat rooms and frameworks of the once popular Yahoo Mail. The evolution of new mail services like Gmail in our present day has also given them the name G-Boys. So if you ever hear G-Boys or Yahoo Boys, it oftentimes refers to the same set of people. The advent of mobile phones was a game-changing moment as it made things better, easier, quicker for this new generation of scammers. Yahoo Boys could now work round the clock with more privacy and less restrictions due to location or time zone differences. There were VPNs to hide locations with new applications designed to aid and abet their activities. This led to even more innovation and a rapid change of approach. Many started to move to social media platforms, particularly Facebook, to farm for clients, or MAGA, a word they used to refer to their victims. So the initial model of Yahoo was very different from what other fraudsters around the world used as a debt. What they often adopted was a scam to take advantage of Nigeria's unique economic and social conditions, just as we saw with my fictional Dr. David in my earlier narrative. So the next question you might want to ask is, why is Yahoo so attractive? I would have loved to give you a purely philosophical answer, but if I am to state it simply, I would say greed and poverty. Many Yahoo boys come from a poor background and see online fraud as a way to escape poverty and achieve success. It becomes relatively attractive, given the numerous success stories they have been told or seen from peers or even celebrities and musical prodigies who do not mince words when glorifying this activity. So, as it stands today, internet scams and cyber crimes in Nigeria are evolving beyond just romance scams into more complex, dubious schemes. We now have phishing, internet fraud, hacking, and even farming, which involves redirecting people to fraudulent websites to steal their login information or credit card details for some fraudulent reasons. I'm sure you might have received messages like that at some point in time. Another good question to ask is, are internet scams actually unique to Nigerians? Well, the short answer is no. Cyber crimes are a global phenomenon, and this is why poverty alone cannot be the only answer to the question. We have several countries in the world with considerably better standards of living suffering from this societal malaise. For example, as reported by the cable newspaper Nigeria, Kaspersky, a cybersecurity and antivirus provider, ranks Nigeria as the first in Africa when it comes to online threats and scams. We are closely followed by South Africa and Kenya. Some other big names on this list includes China, Pakistan, India, and Brazil. To answer this question, let me cite the example of Hush Puppy. I am sure some of us must have heard of Hush Puppy, the popular Nigerian scammer, was arrested just about 2 years ago. One would have thought that when he was arrested, everyone would be against his actions? The surprising answer is no. It was a mixed audience. So, if you have ever stayed around these folks or come across proponents, their most repeated phrase is that we are simply paying back our colonial masters in their own coin. To these people, Africa was looted and stolen from by foreigners, and we have every right to steal from them too. The question here, however, is, does more criminality justify a criminal act? Furthermore, since Yahoo occurs virtually, for most part of it, it often seems like a victimless crime, which is what makes people think nobody's actually affected. You see, the emotions of the victim cannot be felt as much, unlike a physical robbery or someone snatching your phone from you in a bus or a knife attack. Nothing can, however, be further from the truth, because real people are being scammed. Real people are losing their entire life savings, and real people are committing suicide and going into depression from the impact of activities like this. So we just have to do better as a people, and even offer more empathy to those that have been affected by scams like this. Having said all of this, what solutions can the government offer? You see, Nigeria is not as lawless as you may be led to believe. For example, even as early as in the 1990s, there have been various efforts to manage and eradicate cybercrimes in Nigeria, and this included the establishment of the Cybercrimes Act of 2015. But remember what is said about equity and clean hands. You see, the Yahoo scam, in my opinion, are a mirror of the decadent political class. It's a rather sad intersection between those that are privileged to loot, those with the power to loot, and the youths who have learned to loot. So, if crocodiles, snakes, and rats can swallow monies in Nigeria, with nobody being held accountable, then how does the same government exemplify what is good and proper to its people? While the Nigerian police continues to do a rather zealous and good job with the clamping down of the activities of internet scammers, there must be a concurrent effort by the government to set the right example by holding itself accountable and serving the people with a model of sanity and governance that is devoid of criminality and political Yahoo. The government must provide jobs as well as encourage innovation to encourage youths like this. I mean, a mind that can conceive and be patient also, to carry out some of these scams is definitely a mind that can be productive. Finally, for us as citizens, we ought to do better with those we give so much prominence to and elevate as heroes in our society. Parents must be willing to train their children right, to let them see dignity in noble work and not with sudden wealth. So for celebrities and those with fame and influence, they should also learn to stop the belly-aching glorification of money and sudden fame through any and every means possible. Because in the end, we are the architects of the society that we have. And what we see in the society today is only a mirror of the efforts and the values that we have put into it. So let's build the country together. Let's repaint our image and project ourselves in a better light to the world. So till next time, remember to pop the subscribe button and turn on your notification for my new posts. Cheers.